Hello. Today we're going to talk about creating charts in Excel 2013. Now, charting is one of the areas where it's probably the area where Excel has changed the most from 2007 or 2010. So even if you have a good deal of experience using those tools, this might be worth getting familiar with. I think you'll find that things have changed, but it's really just more about a reorganization of the concepts. So I'm going to look at several charts here, and so the first idea is that if you select the data correctly, your chart should take care of itself. That's the first thing I say, and that's the last thing I talk about with charts. So you always want to read the question carefully. So if I wanted to insert a 3D pie chart below, which will represent the totals for each item, 3D pie chart is my type of chart. The totals for each item, right? These are items. These are totals for each item. Right? This would be some kind of a monthly totals, right? This is so I'm going to do a bunch of wrong charts because that's how I like to teach this. So I kind of want to graph these numbers. That's what I want. Those are the totals for each item. So if you want to do a chart, it's under Insert, and it's under this charts group here. Pie chart is this thing right here. 3D pie chart is that thing right there. That is a pie chart. Notice how easy that was, right? A couple clicks, a single drag. This is a terrible chart, and so it's important that you understand why it's a terrible chart. That's the correct shape. It doesn't have a chart title. That's probably a problem. This right here is called the legend, and this is garbage, right? Just 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes you'll see things like Series 1, Series 2. That stuff should always be cleaned up. So the novice typically will try to fix the chart. It might take me a while to fix it, but the easy thing to do is I'm just going to click somewhere near the border of the chart, press the delete key on my keyboard. I'm just going to start again. Let's talk about why did it turn out that way. Well, there's never an instance where you're just going to grab the numbers, right? That's always your first intuition, but you always are going to need the labels as well. So this is what you call non-adjacent data. Non-adjacent data, so you select the first range. Now I hold down Control. Now I grab the other range. Non-adjacent, right? They are not touching each other. So now I grabbed my labels, and I'm going to do that same thing. That's a good pie chart. My legend is now not worthless. And this looks exactly the same. It doesn't have a chart title. Chart titles are easy enough to edit. If you just click on the chart title, you can give it a chart title, right? I don't know what you want to do, right? There we go. So you can automatically generate a title, but oftentimes you enter one by hand. So I talked about 2013 being different than 2007. And here's in 2010. So notice this stuff right here. That's weird, right? I mean, it is weird. I don't know anything. I can't think of anything else which has things like that. In 2010, there used to be 3 tabs up here. Design, Format, and there was another tab. So now what they basically did is they took out that middle tab and they condensed it down into this plus button, for better or for worse. And so there's where you particularly manipulate your title. You might be wondering, should this thing have some data labels on it? I think it should. So I'm going to head into this data labels, and you've got some options in here. I'll go to more options just to pull up everything. And see, this is just flat out a lot different than it used to look, but it's the same stuff. It's just organized differently, right? So here's value, which is probably what you want. You can do the category names, which you would not want to do at the same time as the legend, right? It's the same information. I click OK, and now I've got data labels. Now, in the question here, I didn't ask for data labels, and you see that by default, a pie chart doesn't have data labels, and that's fine. That's how they look. But the takeaway on this, if you're new to this, was I didn't fix it, right? I made a bad chart, and then I realized, oh, that didn't belong, or I needed to include some more information, and then I just went and got that new information. Let me show you another classic example of a wrong chart. So I'm going to click somewhere near the border, press delete. I've seen this one about 1,000,000 times. Kind of sort of the right idea. Here's my numbers, here's my labels. Right, okay, so it's potentially not a problem, but more often than not, when you see a big old half slice looking like that, it means you have totals in your chart. Totals do not belong in your chart. You might be wondering, well, I thought you said those were totals. Well, they are totals, but this is the total of totals, right? I mean, so you don't ever want your grand total in there. Otherwise, you're going to end up with something like that. So that's a lot of talking and not a lot of content. Let's just roll through a couple examples pretty quickly, and maybe we'll start to see this coming together. But but do understand the idea of you must select the labels by yourself and just knowing what a bad chart looks like. Here I'm going to create a 3D column chart which shows the daily sales for each month. So that's my type of chart. Daily sales for each month. These are months. These are days. So this chart here is actually this, right? It's everything, right? Here's the months, here's the days. Notice I'm not putting totals in there because they do not belong. If I just make this chart right here, it's going to look absolutely terrible, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So column chart is this thing. Right, that's the correct shape. These labels are good. These are not good, right? What do these represent? I think they're supposed to represent Monday, Tuesday. What's going on here? I don't know. This is no help. This is no help. You should be able to hand your chart to someone, and they should be able to look at it, and based on the labels, they should be able to read it. This is unreadable. So I'm going to throw it away. And this is going to be a real easy adjustment. I have to select that data, right? So here's one of these is going to take the shape of my legend, and the other one is going to be my x-axis labels. Right, notice I didn't fix it. I mean, you could call it fixing, but I really just selected the correct data in the first place. Now my legend's worthwhile. Now my x-axis is worthwhile, and this always was, and this shape is correct. Now if I wanted to apply some additional formatting to that, I'd jump into here, and notice how this is a slightly different menu than I had for pie charts. So for those of you who are just kind of rehashing your skills, kind of updating them to 2013, this used to be done up here, and now it's done here, right? For better or for worse. And let's go on to another one. So this one involves some formatting, and so I just want to tackle this one, and I think this is the last one I'll put in this video because this video is getting a little long. All right, so I want to insert a 3D line chart. That's my type of chart. In a new sheet called Super Chart, so that's a little different. And so our content is going to be monthly totals. These are monthly, these are totals, right? So this is non-adjacent data, so essentially these are going to be the numbers, and these are going to be the labels. Again, I hold down Control to select two non-adjacent ranges. So this is a 3D line chart, which is in here. I don't know that looks good, but I mean that's what I asked for. So there's a 3D line chart. It looks fairly ridiculous. Notice these labels are meaningful. These labels are meaningful. Notice that Series 1 isn't doing anything for us. You can just click on that, and you can I'm just going to press the delete key on my keyboard because it wasn't doing anything for us. So there are those instances based on your chart type where sometimes you will see Series 1, Series 2, but you just got to ask yourself, if I gave this to someone, would they be able to read what it was? Well, this makes sense. This makes sense. Really, the thing that is missing here is the chart title, a meaningful chart title. So I'll just make it monthly totals, right, as I specified. I'm having a hard time selecting that. Right? Now I know that these are monthly totals. There's my dollar amount. This is apparently over 6 months or so. This is a chart that someone could read. Let's tackle this part right here, though. So sending a chart to a new sheet. There's a couple ways to do it. Let's do a right click because that's a pretty easy way to do it. You can also do it under the Design tab up here under Move Chart, but I'm just going to do right click. If you right click on a chart, you've got this Move Chart button, and so I'm going to go New Chart or New Sheet, and I'm going to call it Super Chart because that's what I said I was going to call it. Click OK, and this is kind of cool, right? Now I've got a new sheet in my workbook, and this is displayed as largely as it can be displayed. So that's charts, right? And so all this was about was selecting the correct data. If you don't select the correct data in the first place, you're not going to be able to make a decent chart. We didn't talk a whole lot about formatting charts. Most of the basics are under this plus button right here. The rest of it, if there's anything you can't find in here, because sometimes it is tough to navigate, I would recommend switching over to the Format tab and using this. This is the best way to select parts of your chart. Right, so maybe something I'd want to do would be like the chart area. So now I've got the chart area selected. It's not apparent, but it is. And now if I do something like a shape fill, right? I just gave the chart area fill of whatever color blue that is. So that's charts in a nutshell. They are really cool tools and they seem like they'd be complicated, but they're really not. Just understand that if you select the correct data, it should pretty much take care of itself unless there's some extra details. And most of those details can be specified through here, and in the worst case, you just jump into here and grab the parts that you're looking for. Because you see all that, sometimes it's hard to find that stuff in here. So that's charts in Excel 2013. Thanks for watching.